Real leadership. Real leadership that empowers. I love it. Corporal Stevens, you know how many times I've read the Good General's book here? Well, let me think. I read it, I think every flight I took over to the sandbox. And there was three flights over there. And then there was one to Germany for the fourth and final deployment. What a good leader. They just don't make leaders like this anymore, Corporal Stevens. I know. He was a West Point graduate. And he retired right here out of SOCOM, out of MacDill. I wonder if he knows my friend, Mr. Well, Major General Gary Spears. He was the general that I worked with in the congressional office. That's right. That's right. When that perverted demon, when he fired me, because I gave all the students an extra week to get all their service academy packets in. That's right. That perverted demon, he fired me. Oh, we don't want to dare say his name on... Oh, I got you! I got you in my live. Oh my gosh, friends. I'm getting caught up on a little reading here. Friends, I hope your night's going well. Friends, I've been tweaking out the pinball machine over there. Friends, I got a special treat for y'all tonight. We're going back to the year 2006, everybody. I got a lot of quarters here, friends. We're gonna skip the Obamas and the George W. Friends. I had some nightmares last night because Corporal Stevens just put one quarter in it, and it just took forever to get us to where we needed to go back in 1994. Hold on, everybody. What the hell's up with this mic? Look, friends. I just want to bounce on here a little while tonight and goof off with you. We had a real good Bible study earlier today. We were in the book of John. Friends, did you know John the Baptist was a wilderness man? I'm sorry, friends. You must hydrate. We don't drink no alcohol. No longer, friends. Look, friends, John the Baptist was a wilderness man. And friends, I didn't know this, but I learned it today, that he was actually a relative. He was related to Jesus. Mother Mary and John the Baptist, his mom, well, they were related. The Bible didn't go into a lot of details, the student Bible. But it did provide some understanding of who John the Baptist was. And Jesus looked upon him as one of his most righteous disciples. Up there with Paul. Remember, Saul of Tarsus. Look, friends, I hope you're having a good Thursday. Friends, I got an update. Friends, that child that we had put the bolo out, be on the lookout. Well, friends, he came home. Friends, it wasn't the sheriff. I mean, the sheriff did finally get on the case after like a week. But friends, the word on the streets is that young kid, well, he found out Sergeant Major Grizzlegrits was looking for his butt. And he figured he'd get home and deal with whatever he had to deal with Mama, rather than dealing with me, friends. I told you, don't you dare. Friends, you know, we don't know the whole story here, but we prayed, friends, and I did a lot of weeping, and I did a lot of praying, and a lot of weeping. Now, friends, we don't want to judge the child or the parents, but, you know, I don't know, friends. We're not going to get into it. The child was reunited with Mama, and hopefully he got a good spanking. Anyways, friends, you know, that just goes to show the power of prayer. Now, look, friends, tomorrow's a half day. So I'm taking my children fishing once we get done with the car line around noon. Oh, no, Corporal Stevens. No, I don't do the McDonald's. No, they're always hounding me, but I know the garbage they put in that food. And, you know, friends, well, I guess really anything you eat nowadays is not going to be that good for you. I don't know, everybody. Friends, some sad news. We heard a C-135 tanker crashed over Iraq. Friends, when you get the mission tempo, when it starts going up, these things are going to happen, you know? That's real sad, because those folks most likely did not survive. There's no parachutes in those jets. And friends, my wife had to fly around in those things when she was in the Air Force Reserves. Truly scary, everybody. Look, friends, we've been real busy today. I mean, I did. I played a little too much Call of Duty. Yeah, friends, it's not even fun anymore. I've done beat all y'all. But I got on to some more of my duties, friends. I want y'all to check this out, friends. I'm working on a brochure. That way, when I see you out in the public, I can let you know that this is real serious, friends. I really do have a ministry, and I do have a most righteous 501c3. Friends, a lot of y'all think this is just a goof, but it's not, friends. I mean, it is, but it's not. I'm just trying to make the most of the tragedy. You know, losing your career to a bunch of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Friends, I could have relapsed in the alcohol. I could have gotten angry and bitter. I could have just run off in the wilderness like my boss did. And I'm not judging the guy. But friends, God had a different plan for me. And sometimes I listened, and sometimes I kind of did it my way. But everybody, we're focusing on the ministry now. And I got to come up with some nice brochures to let people know that I am a legit 501c3. I mean, friends, give me a donation. Throw me a bone. If you give me some scratch, I'll get a lot of scratching done. I'll go get some shoes for the homeless folks down in Ybor City. I'll go get some other cemeteries all cleaned up, friends. And I'll even buy the weed killer. Friends, I got the big old 5-gallon pump, spray. Friends, I bought it last summer. I just got no weed killer to put in it because I'm broke. So I'm making these nice brochures. Friends, it's not really pink. I told you nothing in our country works any longer. I went to Walmart when I had to do all this court nonsense and I had to print out some forms. I had to pay $40 for the ink for the Canon over here. And friends, it printed out like 10 black and white pages, and I never used the color. Friends, this is the first time I used the color, and it did not get the job done. It went from 100% down to 0, and before it got halfway through the paper. What a waste of money, everyone. But check it out, friends. This is kind of what it's going to look like. Oh, hold on. Let me just do it. Let me do you a solid. Do I got it here? Okay, friends, check it out. So, friends, this is... friends, some of y'all know I'm an art guy. I've been trying to explain this to the sheriff for about 2 years now. That I'm not a domestic terrorist. I'm an art guy. I'm just a little more creative and a little smarter than some of y'all. I hate to be that way, friends, but it's the only way we can be. Look, friends, it's going to be a trifold. Isn't that cool? We're going to have the logo, the character, Sergeant Major Grizzlegrits, friends. I mean, I gotta have a mascot for this project to work the way it needs to. And I came up with some cool new logos. And no, friends. The yellow and blue is not in support of Ukraine. I got green in there. I know a lot of y'all are catching on. A lot of things I do has a lot of psychology. But not that one, friends. Those colors just worked with the orange and everything else. Now, friends, I'm going to draw your attention to some of the photos over here. That's right, friends. That's me in the Seffner Cemetery, getting it all squared away for all of us in our community. This was last summer. Well, I got the graffiti off a couple weeks ago. I've been meaning to get around to it, and I finally did. But look, friends, we got the sign replaced, because I told you I'm an art guy for the last time. But I'll keep telling y'all, because I know some of y'all need to be reminded. And then we lifted the headstone, and that was a lot of fun and very dangerous, friends. And I truly do love doing dangerous stuff. I mean, come on, I was a machine gunner in the war. I mean, I'm just not like some of y'all. And I flew around in Chinook helicopters, and we literally crashed 2 times, but somehow we didn't die. Now, friends, I want to show you something. The folks in the picture here. Now, friends, I had infiltrated the Bay Pines VA. This was at their suicide prevention. Well, friends, it was all LGBT. There was really no suicide prevention going on there. They had one little table, and the rest of the 20 tables was all diversity, equity, and inclusion. This was about 2 years ago. And they told me, the VA police told me, if I go on the campus with my body armor and my Kevlar, well, they said they'd have to execute me for being a domestic terrorist. And friends, that is true. They did tell me that. But I outsmarted these little GS6s. I mean, friends, it don't take much to be a VA police officer. I mean, really, they don't do anything, friends, and I hate to be that way. Friends, so I told them I had a traumatic brain injury, a TBI, and I had to wear the Kevlar because it was, a part of my treatment. And they believed me, friends. So here I am on the campus, and these are 2 homeless folks I met. Nice young lady and her gentleman. And everybody, I treated them like VIPs because they were. Because the man actually used to work on the campus. And he got removed for DEI just like me. And they were out there watching me protest. And, they really liked what I was doing. And I brought them some food and some sleeping bags. And we became good friends. And this particular day, I took him to lunch, and I basically gave him a whole tour of the whole property, everybody. And I had 2 nice VA police officers escorting me everywhere I went, friends. I mean, that just seems to be a theme of any VA I go. I just can't go there and get my damn care or just show some people the history, the 90-year-old facility there. Oh, no. But it's okay, friends. I just make a mockery of all y'all wherever I go. It's just a part of the Sergeant Grizzlegrits way. But look, friends, this is how it's going to look. And then you're going to open it up. And then there's going to be Sergeant Major doing what he does when he's not doing his peaceful protesting. And friends, on the inside, hold on, I hadn't really designed that one yet. We're getting to it. Friends, on the inside, I'm going to have like a kind of a carbon copy of this here. And it's going to be like a cartoon, Sergeant Major kind of explaining to you what the hell he's doing dressed up like this. Friends, this stuff works for soldiers. I mean, they used to have this little comic book they used to give us, like the motor pool, like how to PMCS your 50 cal. What the hell is that thing called, Corporal Stevens? But friends, you got to dumb it down. It's called KISS. Keep it simple and stupid, and people will get the point. And there's a lot of art that's real colorful. And friends, it's all true too. I mean, would you want to go donate some money to the wounded warriors? Friends, those people are crooks. They took a lot of money and they did a lot of naughty with it. Not me, friends. I didn't take the bribes. I said, no way, Jose. And no offense to Jose. He does a really good job on my lawn. But friends, I didn't do the pronouns. I didn't do the COVID shot. I didn't do none of that stuff. I just went to work and demanded I be treated like, well, not like everybody else. I just wanted to do my job and get a paycheck. But these people made it real difficult, everybody. The perverted, horrible federal government. So look, everyone, I don't know how long we're gonna be on here tonight. I really do, friends. I wanna go to Afghanistan. I'm just itching. I got my IBA on, I got my rounds, and I'm ready to get back in the up armor and the gun truck. Friends, I can't tell you, but friends, I can't tell you that story. But we had 2 trucks in the squad, the heavy weapons squad. And friends, each truck had a name, and I can't tell you the name, friends. I just can't do these things. There's some things y'all are not allowed to. If you were not there and part of the squad, I can't tell you these things. I'm sorry, everybody. But look, I got my quarters, and we're not going to mess around with the Obamas or Big Mike. Friends, Big Mike was Big Mike back in 2005, in 2010, in 1985. Big Mike's always been Big Mike. I mean, friends, I don't make the rules up. I mean, God created Big Mike the way he is, and, you know, it's between him and God. Oh, the pinball. Okay, Corporal Stevens. Friends, I don't know. Last night, I put the quarters in, and the whole room started spinning around, and the time machine really started kicking off, friends. Let's see if we can get it to do it again tonight. Oh, Corporal Stevens. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. You know, good help's kind of hard to find sometimes. Corporal Stevens, you got the quarters? Friends, this is terrifying. Don't you dare do this unless you're a professional. Okay, here, you go put some quarters in it. Let's see what it does. I'm very curious. Okay. He thinks he knows what he's doing this time. All right, friends, go ahead. Hit the quarter, Corporal Stevens. What in the world? Oh my gosh, friends, the whole room. What in the world's going on here? Corporal Stevens. Friends, are y'all seeing this? Or is it just me? Everything's getting foggy in here. I think the time machine's about to kick off. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Corporal Stevens. Oh my gosh, friends, it's starting again. Oh my gosh, the chair. Oh my gosh, friends. Oh my gosh, friends, the chair's moving. Oh my gosh, friends, it's spinning around. Oh, put all the quarters in, Corporal Stevens. I don't want to see those Obamas. Oh my gosh, friends, we're moving. Oh, let me check the date. Oh my gosh, friends, it's 2018. I'm at the VA. Oh no, the Dr. Nicole Schreiber, that lady was evil and perverted. All she did was deal with the transgender veterans. Oh, a transgender soldier's not a real soldier. Oh my gosh, Corporal Stevens, we're moving. Keep it going, put some more quarters in there. Okay. Oh my gosh, friends. Oh, 2013. Okay, slow down. I see the PGK mission. Okay. I'm a Big Mike. Keep going. Put them quarters in. Corporal Stevens. Oh my gosh, friends, we're moving. Oh my gosh, friends, we're moving around. The whole room's spinning. I'm blacking out, friends. I'm back on that ride at the fair. Oh my gosh, friends, 2008. Oh my God! I had the street glide, the Harley, the street bob. That was a good Harley. Corporal Stevens, put some more quarters in there. Hurry, hurry, hurry! I don't want to see the George W. Not tonight, not tonight. Oh my gosh, friends! Oh, slowing down, it's slowing down. Oh my gosh, friends! Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, friends, we're there. Oh my friends, I see the Wild Boys. Corporal Stevens, is that my old squad? Is that the heavy weapon squad, the Wild Boys? Friends, we're there. I can't believe we made it. Oh my gosh, friends, I gotta go. Friends, I gotta get. Friends, I gotta get in the Humvee. Friends, I gotta go. I'm the TC. I gotta get in the truck, friends. They got the truck waiting for me over there. Oh my gosh, friends. I don't want to leave my family. Oh my goodness, friends. All right, friends, I'll be back. I gotta go.
There's a dead leg. Right hand side, a dead leg. A body.
Okay, guys, all right. I'll see y'all in 20 years. 21 years. Came early to go to the sergeant school. That was Warrior Leaders School. That was Warrior Leaders course back then, everyone. Oh my gosh, friends, I can't believe I got my hand. Friends, it's been 21 years. I mean, I had to go back in time with a pinball time machine to get my nice 1812 lint. Friends, I have no idea. This thing. Ain't that cool, friends? Look at that. It's all nice and ornated. The Afghan folks, they really, they know how to put the nice touches on things, don't they? Isn't that cool? I told you, Hillsborough County took all my firearms, but I didn't take this one. Y'all can't have it. I just had to go back in time and get it. So that's, you know, I'm sure there's a law or something. That's cool. That's real cool, friends. I'm certainly glad. I mean, the Wild Boys we always take care of each other, friends. Friends, this is the IBA I was wearing in that video, friends. That is a true story. Look, there's my name, Messer. I was E5 Sergeant Messer back then. Oh, what do we got here? Oh, yeah. Oh, I tell you what. If I would have had this in that first marriage, maybe, well, friends, it's not for beating the wives, but it certainly looks like it has. Look at all the dings and dents in this thing. Friends, it's for getting the flies off of you. And smacking the ladies around. Friends, I don't do this. I just had to go to the domestic violence court, friends, and I was the victim. But just like Paul Simon, just sliding away, friends. But isn't that cool? All friends, they're gone. Friends, I don't know how this works. I bought this pinball machine because it was the same one my father had when I was a child. Look, friends, look at it over there. And friends, I put a quarter in it, and I just said, wow, I'd love to go back to, 1994. And friends, the room started spinning around the other night when I wasn't on the live stream. And then I was back in 1994, friends. Just for a little while. Then I had to come back to this perverted reality that we're all in. But ain't that cool, friends? Look at that. I told you, those Wild Boys. The battery, the command, they didn't know what to do with us. I think that's why they left all the heavy weapons in one squad. They knew they couldn't split us up. Whoosh. What do you think about this, friends? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see. I could probably... We're going fishing tomorrow after school. I could probably fillet some fish with this. Look at that, friends. I don't know if you can see. It's kind of dark in the bunker, but let me see if I can get the light on it. Friends, it has a bunch of animals all over it. Ain't that cool? It's a shame we always got to be at war with these people, you know? I'm sure we could find some use for some of them. Okay, friends, that's cool. I went back in time. I wasn't expecting that. What a nice treat. What a nice treat, everybody. Where should we go now, friends? Oh, it's getting a little late, friends. And look, tomorrow's Friday the 13th, and I don't dare leave the home, friends. Friends, 2 years ago on Friday the 13th of September, I spent the night in jail. Because I was out skitting around like this in my local community. Corporal Stevens, I got car line tomorrow. I don't want to be going back in time. I might not be home in time for car line tomorrow morning. All right, friends, we'll do a couple rounds of pinball, then we'll call it a night. I don't have to be quiet, friends, because the children are over at Mom's house, and my wife's working the late overnight shift at the VA. I know, friends. Friends, I had to sue the horrible, perverted Department of Veteran Affairs, and my wife still works there. I know, friends. It is kind of like a conflict of interest. But it pays the bills, friends. And the government employees get handsomely compensated for the little bit of work that they do, if they do any work. And my wife does do some work. She's one of the good ones. Truly, she is, friends. All right, Corporal Stevens, I don't want to go back in time any longer tonight, please. I had too many friends. Every time I go back in time, I see Big Mike. I don't know why he's there. He's just there dancing around with Ellen, and that big old thing's flopping all over the place, friends. It's traumatic. Who should I go talk to about that? I can't go to the VA because they love that type of perverted stuff. All right, friends. We just go ahead, Corporal Stevens. Let's put some quarters in there and just see what happens. Oh my gosh, friends! All right, the fun and games are done. All right, everybody, here we are. Let's go put a quarter in the machine. It's like it's the Fast Freddy, the Fast Freddy of the pinball. Oh my goodness! Alright, we're gonna start a new game. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going rim. This gotta hurt. Ah! Oh, right, here we go. Gosh. Oh, I got a 1 in a million. No! That shot up there, I've only made a couple times. Go! Go! Oh, there we go. There we go. Whoa! Oh, yeah. All right, Corporal Stevens, please. I'm getting nauseous. Oh, okay, friends. I'm sorry about that. All right, look, friends. I think that might just do it for tonight. It's midnight, and some of y'all that have a job, you got to go to work in the morning. I know, friends. I'm not trying to rub it in, but I'm happily retired at 45. Everybody. I know, friends. It's not the route I would have chosen, but the Lord chose it for me, and I have to maintain my humbleness. Friends, I really wanted to go find another job, but there ain't no more jobs for folks like me. I mean, not one that would be fulfilling and rewarding. I mean, if the Lord Jesus told me I had to go get a job at Ace Hardware, I'm sure I'd love it. But then who would take up the duties here in the Sergeant Major's bunker and play pinball, goof off with y'all late at night, and play Call of Duty during the day when all the chores are done, waiting to go to Carline to do some Bible studies? I'm sorry, friends, I got a whole new life now and a whole new set of responsibilities. Oh, yeah, of course, Call of Duty's not... Friends, that's not on the duty list. That's just something I like to do. So look, friends, you know, I wish I could just hang out with y'all all night long. Truly, I do. Some of y'all are a lot of fun to hang around. And others, I don't know, friends. That boy that we were trying to find out where that child was, and somebody gave me a thumbs down on my short. Who the hell, what's wrong with y'all? Must be a perverted person. Or maybe it was the boy. I told you, he found out Sergeant Major was looking for his butt, and he got his butt on home. He's been watching my videos. And if I found out he was doing graffiti or doing naughty stuff, I don't know, friends. We were praying that the child made it home, and he did, friends. We'll just leave it at that. So look, friends, if I can get up and... Friends, I told you I'm retired. I got no time to really get up in the morning, get the children off to school, and sometimes I go back to bed, friends. It's just the perk of being retired. You know, when I was in the military, in the Army, in the Florida Army National Guard, especially on all these horrible deployments, I keep showing you all the video. Friends, I had like 3 hard drives that completely crashed. I had a lot of videos. But this was like over 20 years ago, and a lot of them just didn't survive. So every time I find one, I try to show it to y'all. Friends, I got a hilarious one, but I don't know. My buddy who's in it, he's doing a lot of real goofball stuff. And the guy's a Sergeant Major now. I'm gonna have to just blur out his identity. It is pretty damn funny. Friends, we were doing backyard wrestling at the entry control point, the ECP, one day. And we grabbed the local interp and we threw him in a piece of wood. And then my buddy, I go back and watching this. It's hard to watch because I don't know how he didn't break his neck. But we were doing, well, not me, friends. I was supervising. I was the E5, for goodness sakes. So I let all the E4s do all the goofball stuff in the front of the entry of the base. Now, friends, it was boring out there because we would, have to watch the vehicles and search them when they came in and pat down everybody. But the base that we were at didn't have a lot of traffic, so it was a lot of downtime. And that's like the worst thing for a soldier and a newly promoted E5 is having a lot of downtime. Because you're going to find a lot of things to do that, probably might not be, well, how should I put it? I don't know, friends. Looking back, I couldn't wait to get home on all these deployments. But I almost wish I could go back, Or does any of y'all feel that way? That maybe served downrange during that time frame? Friends, this is a man I found on Cochrane. Not nothing perverted. It's just the way they pronounced it out there. But friends, I got another video. I gotta find it, but it's us on the mountain, literally driving on a mountain, and y'all have seen it before. And I'm in the turret again, and I'm looking down, and it's 200, 300 feet straight down into the riverbed. And it was terrifying, friends. That's why I had to record it, because I knew none of y'all would believe me. I can't explain these things, friends. We all signed up because we wanted to, thought we were doing something noble, and then we got put in all these crazy, these situations downrange. And it's amazing how I was able to make it home and not really get too banged up, I mean, little trauma upstairs, but it's all been sorted out, everybody. But I've just, anytime I could, friends, I mean, yet security's number one, but anytime you could sneak out the camcorder, we all did it. But that colonel on the PGK, he warned us. He goes, if any of y'all are recording anything, I'll send you home immediately. And he meant it, friends, because when we were doing the PGK mission, friends, that's the PGK right over yonder. Friends, it was like top secret when we were over there doing all the new equipment, tactical training. But anyways, friends, that mission, we drove all up in the mountains to escort some fuel to these soldiers that needed the fuel for their generators to run all their computers and all their radios. I mean, friends, it was a primitive base for real. They had porta-johns out there, but there was no one to service them, so you pooped in a plastic bag, everybody, and then you had to go throw it in the burn pit. Friends, I told you I've been around the burn pits. That's why I got the burn pit lungs. And that horrible VA under the, well, I don't want to call it the leadership of Joe Biden, because he wasn't, friends, I don't think the man's alive, to be honest with you. I think he expired a few years back. But friends, the PACT Act was passed by Congress in 2023, and we did a nice little ceremony at the Bay Pines VA. But friends, it turned out a couple years later that all the executives and all these VAs, instead of doing what the PACT Act money was supposed to do, hire more people, they just gave everybody bonuses. And a lot of them had to pay the money back when they got caught. Perverted federal government, friends. I keep trying to tell y'all about these things. They don't care about none of us. They don't even care about each other. That's why they're all going to turn on each other here soon. Or true story. I was terrified, friends. I mean, I'm 25 years old. Our Humvee's motor's blown up. We're literally in the middle of nowhere, Afghanistan, in the mountains, and they had to keep going. We couldn't just leave all the fuel trucks for our truck. So it was another Humvee and my Humvee, the Colonel's Humvee, and we put a tow strap, and they towed us the last leg of the mission. It was like an hour being towed. It was terrifying. It was dark when we got there. But they left us some steaks. They had the steaks waiting for the Colonel. It was real nice. They really did roll out the whole carpet for the Colonel. That was Colonel Leopard, friends. The man was legendary. The 205th ARCAG. He was one of the training units down there, and our National Guard unit got attached to him because they heard about the Wild Boys and how wild we were. And they needed some wild soldiers to go up in the wild parts of the country in Afghanistan to get the job done. And your humble Sergeant Major was one of them soldiers. I'm trying to tell you a real damn story here. My friends, we got there, and I don't understand it. All these little bases that they had, they're always in a little valley, and there's always areas where the enemy can just shoot down on you like a fishbowl. And we were there, friends, and they were shooting at us. Not a lot. It was harassing fire. And then everybody, the next day, I got to help the medic staple a little child's head back together. I don't know, he got hit in the head with a shovel or he fell off the tractor, but his head from here to here was split wide open, and I had to push it together, and he just went with the staple gun. And then we hung out for a day or two. We did a little, down to the local village, little public relations with the Colonel. And then it was time to go, everybody. We loaded up and we rolled on out of there. Friends, we got shot at the whole way out. I mean, I'd shoot at a bunch of invaders too if they had rolled up in my neck of the woods uninvited. And they didn't have no steak dinners for me. But it was like a week later, we were going to FOB Wolverine. It was a fire base when I went back there in 2013. Everything was bigger. It's called the Mission Creep. And FOB Apache. Friends, the lady that put my finger back together when I was doing my peaceful protesting. Remember, friends, my combat knife bit me and I had to get 5 stitches. Well, there was a nice Navy Corps lady. And she was at FOB Apache the same time I was. And she was there trying to put together some soldiers that had hit an IED. Friends, when we flew in there, I mean, the lady and I were at the base at the same time. And the VA turned her down for all her claims. I told you, friends, this perverted, horrible government. But it was a combat outpost when we were there. It was tiny. They were just building it up, and they had the ANA, the Afghan National Army. We kind of had the bases next to each other. That was in 2006. That was a lot of fun out there. But we were rolling over to FOB Wolverine just down the street. And we told the ANA, the Afghan soldiers, we said, look, don't you dare get off the trail. And one of them did, and he hit a landmine. And that's what you saw in that video, friends. Everyone was blown to bits in that truck. It was horrible. Friends, it could have been, probably should have been little Lukey and me, but it wasn't, friends. I told you the Lord had some bigger plans for us. I don't know what to say, everybody. You know, I miss those times because it seemed like our country was a lot nicer back then. People like soldiers. If you talk to a person in law enforcement, usually they'd give you a courtesy. It was kind of like a professional courtesy thing. You know, we're kind of all on the same side. It might be closer to 10 o'clock, friends. I told you I'm on retirement time. And tomorrow is Friday the 13th. And I do have a little PTSD because 2 years ago, right about now, 2 years ago, I was getting my ham sandwich down at the Orient Road Jail. I was waiting to bond out. But it's okay, friends. Those things don't scare me. I've been showing you videos of what I've been up to. The pinball time machine likes to take us back in time to remind us all. So look, friends, I'm going to go oil up my nice... Well, friends, the Hillsborough County detective watches all my videos. He's very envious of me. Because he's girly and perverted, and he got all the guns. But I told you, I just had to go back in time and pick up one that I had paid money for 21 years ago, and I had to go home early on that deployment. And I just got reunited with it with the old pinball time machine. I don't know, friends. How do you fire this thing? You got to pack it, I think, right? Flintlock. Put something here. You pull it back. Oh my gosh, friends! I think this thing's loaded. I'm about to go out in the backyard to the gun range and aim it towards that registered sex offender's home and squeeze off a couple balls at them. That's what they use the balls in here. I don't know. What a journey, everybody. All right, everybody. Y'all have a good night. And y'all stay groovy. And I'll see you in the... I better see you in that stinking Bible study. As a matter of fact, friends, I got to go do my patrols. We got patrols tonight, everybody. So if you're out harming some children, expect a visit from me in the next hour or two. All right, friends, y'all stay groovy, and we'll talk to you soon. Grizzle 6 out.